Hey guys, welcome to Things I've Learned. And I have my friend Eric, who is an accountant. Eric, can you tell me a little bit about your background? Like, are you first generation, ethnicity,
Yeah, so I was actually born in Mexico, but I've spent nowadays most of my life I've spent here in the U.S.
Americanized? Uh,
Oh yeah,
So, what exactly do you do for your career?
I am an accountant for a cybersecurity company.
Oh, nice, very nice, cool. And to get that job, were you good in school, like in general?
I I was pretty good in school. I was a bit of a nerd, but then at the same time, I didn't really take the initiative to take the most challenging classes. I would always kind of take the easy route, and my job requires me to be good at math, and that kind of is in line with how I was in school. So yeah, I was an okay student.
So, what drew you to this career, and when did you know that this was the career you wanted to pursue?
So I didn't really figure it out until I was a junior in college.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was pretty late. Basically, throughout my first 2 years, when I first started in college, I was like, it was 2009. So, the economy was in shambles. And I wanted something that was stable. So, but I didn't know what I wanted. I just wanted to go to college. So I decided I'm just going to be a general business major and then I'll figure it out as I go. So, of course, I did my first 2 years at community college. Once that was over, I had to take some time off to save money for the next round. But even at that point, I still didn't know what I wanted. So once it came time to actually sign up for the classes, when I were starting my junior year, I like when it came time to declare a major, I was like, I don't know, I kind of liked accounting classes, and I chose that major. Started taking those classes. I passed the weed out course where they take out all the people like they can't hang with that major, and they're just not smart enough. And I just kind of stuck with it, and hey, it's worked for me for the past you know 5 years post graduation. So here we are today.
nice, man. Dang, I didn't know that. So it took you like a normal. You took the 4 year route. It took a little longer for that.
Yeah,
A little longer.
yeah. So it was actually a 6 year route, unfortunately, just because it was 2 years of community college,
Mm.
then 2 years where I was just working. Just because the situation I was at the time, I couldn't really afford the 4 year school tuition, and I didn't have any debt or anything. And then it would took me another 2 years to finish the second, you know, go to a 4 year college and finish up my degree.
Cool, cool, cool. So you were paying as you were going, right? So
Yeah,
you graduated no debt.
zero debt.
Oh, bro, I wish I did that, bro. I'm actually in debt.
Yeah,
I graduated my degree. I'm not even doing what my degree isn't anymore. So congratulations, man.
like, it wasn't easy, but now I can kind of relax, and I know how much of a struggle it is. And as your life kind of goes on, there's other things that you want to do, that you want to spend your money on, and sometimes that comes as a shackle. So it's unfortunate that it's a common and it's such a necessity, but
Right.
I'm just glad that I was able to make it without it.
Can you tell us like what's the normal day in your career?
Yes, so it really does depend on what kind of role you have. For me, being in private industry, doing this, a lot of it is cyclical. So it's mostly driven by whenever the company's closing the books for the month, which would usually be, the week after a month ends. So usually, if you're going by that, during that week, there's just a laundry list of things that have to be done just to make sure that our books are accurate.
And you say you were the head of accounting or a supervisor or
Not the title is senior accounting advisor, which basically means I'm just it's one of the accountants,
and
but they got to
how
give it a fancy title.
so yeah, so about like how'd you get that position? Like did you like progress, like change every jobs and get better titles? Or did you stay with one company and just move your way up?
So I went the job hopping route. So since I graduated from college, I've probably had one, two, three, about 4 jobs.
Oh,
So every 1 or 2 years, just hopping around. And when I started, I was doing very basic bookkeeping stuff, like running checks to be printed and handing them to whomever to get signed, or cutting an invoice for a customer, things of that nature. And as I've progressed, my roles have become more analytical. The experience level I started at my previous company, where I was getting exposed to these different views within, going from reviewing contracts to seeing how to properly manage a project from an accounting perspective, things of that nature. And through progress within that role, I was able to land the current one. And then, it's something that, because there's a high fraud risk within revenue when it comes to companies' financials. These are roles that are usually very tough to get into, just because they're looking for a very specific set of skills. And this is a role that kind of landed on my lap. That started in October, so about 9 months ago. So it's the first role that I've had where I haven't had to go and hunt for it. It just kind of.
They recruited you?
Yep.
Oh, through LinkedIn?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So I know you have a bachelor's degree, right? Did you have to have other certifications? I know for accounting you have like a CPA test you gotta take or something like that, or?
So you don't have to, but certain companies, there's a big ceiling that you're going to face if you don't have a CPA. So I was able to get here without it, and I actually just passed all sections for the CPA last month. So and now I have to do a couple of things education-wise, and hopefully by the end of the year I'll be a CPA. But that will I think if I was not going through with the CPA, I would have already reached my ceiling. But that's just going to open it up so I can get the higher level jobs much more easier than I would without it.
Do you think being bilingual helped you out?
I would say no, and that's only because of the region where I live, in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Most of the companies here don't really have a need for that. I think if you go to places like California or Texas, where the companies have more of a presence in Latin America, that would come in more handy.
I got you. So then if you're telling me all this, why did they recruit you? Like, what made you so stand out that they wanted you? What did you do?
Nowadays, I think it's a good chunk of it is a differentiating factor, because and I think that applies to most careers where there is every engineer that can do a list of things 1 through 5. Every nurse that can do things 1 through 5. But I think I have been able to develop some differentiating factors within my skill set that have helped me get in the door, and then a good chunk of personality. And people don't necessarily acknowledge that.
So what's some expectations you had of the job?
When I was, my last semester, I did an internship at a tax firm where, everybody there was like 100 years old, but, it was a relatively casual environment, but it was just during tax season. And I ended up not working within that part of accounting. So then once I actually got my first full-time position, it was an engineering firm. It was an international company. And even that, it wasn't normal for what regular corporate America is. Being an international company, you heard like 5 different languages spoken around you all the time. I didn't really know the typical corporate America rules. I had to go through a couple of screw-ups. And before I got, okay, this is kind of how you have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble in one way or another, or you're going to get word here and there. So, it was difficult, but I think at the end of the day, what helped me get through it is just being able to work hard and communicate as well as you can.
Your current position, you're happy where you're at? You think like this is like the company you want to stay at, or you want to go to a different, better company?
So for now, I think this company is going to be pretty solid for me for quite some time. I don't plan on staying with a company for more than 5 years. I think that's just going to be my rule of thumb, because it's way easier to get promoted when you job hop than it is to get promoted within the same within the company. My previous role, I had to do basically 2 jobs for 6 months before I even got a promotion in title and compensation. So you kind of had to go through all these extra hurdles, and where if I went out and got a new job, I would be able to get a much higher level compensation than what my promotion was offering. While I do really like my company and I feel like I'm compensated fairly, in order to grow, I need to move, maybe not as quickly as I've been doing within my previous jobs. I'm thinking the job hopping is going to stop, and it's going to be more of every 4 years or so, go to the next role. And from a goals perspective, I would hope that within 5 years, I would be able to be a controller within a smaller company. I find that that's the environment that I work in best, working for a small company and just having my hands on everything, on the whole cycle around a company's financials. So I
Cool.
think that's the goal.
Hey, so are you you work for you would say a mid-sized company or a big company?
It's a public company, but it's mid-sized. I would say it's mid-sized.
Mid-sized. Are you the only Latino in your work, your place of work,
Not for the whole company, but for our team, I believe so.
in the accounting team?
Yes.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think do you think there's a lot of Latinos that are accountants or not really?
No, I have never met one.
And why do you think that is though?
I think there's a multitude of reasons. I think a lot of the times it's getting through that initial hurdle. I think we know for a good majority of us, most of our parents didn't go to college. They worked blue collar jobs. So the first is getting through that hurdle of being able to get higher education. And I think once you get past that, because not very many people make it past that point, and the ones that do, they're gonna be more prone to go into the very more STEM fields like medicine or engineers, things of that nature, or they're going to be doing something totally on the other end like sales or international business. The in between is kind of empty. There isn't many of us that end up in the in between careers, and I think that's kind of where accounting falls.
I don't want to be judge your career, but I think like people doing taxes. So
Yeah,
that's all I know. I don't think there's many information to be like, no, you can do this, you can do that. That's why I think we're not informed enough. And like you said, I think engineer or computer science is like more of the I guess popular career to go to. And you always hear, growing up, like, hey, get good job. And like you said, it's a STEM job, right? So
right.
I think that's where we tend to go to. But yeah, man. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing specific. Just in general. Just because the major isn't necessarily glamorous doesn't mean that it's not going to be a path that has that doesn't have room for growth. I feel very fortunate that I chose this because it's allowed me to have a lot of opportunities and high level of job security. Right now in the current situation with COVID-19, seeing a lot of people get laid off and struggle through everything. I feel very fortunate that if anything bad happened with my current role, I could still go out there and find something that is probably on par, if not more, from a salary perspective than what I'm doing now. So, there's different things to think about. So just because a career isn't glamorous doesn't mean that it's not something that could be beneficial in the long run.
Very cool, man. Well, I like to say thank you for your time. Like I really appreciate you doing this interview with me.
Yeah,
And it helps out a lot of people. Hopefully they know more about this industry. And especially from first generation Latino. And what your thoughts are about the career and everything.
yeah, of course. Happy to help.
Yeah, man. Thank you.